everybody. What's going on? What's going on?
Blessing.
Hi.
Good evening. Hi.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Today is another special day on the Gwan podcast. We have a guest, a wonderful young lady by the name of Sherrise. Sherrise, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Wonderful. I'm gonna have to figure out how to break out my my British accent.
Target neutralized.
I'm
You
getting
can have
jealous
a
here.
We actually met Sherrise in actually church. You know, she's our church sister in a way. Do you still see yourself as a Seventh-day Adventist or identify with some of the practices, Sherrise?
Do you know what's so funny? I was actually never a Seventh-day Adventist. My grandma was Church of God, which was still Sabbath keeping. So I would definitely say I align with Sabbath keeping still. I still reverence the Sabbath. I keep it holy. You know, I try to rest and relax and do all of those fun stuff. Most times you can catch me reading on a Saturday a nice little self-help book or anything that gives me a little bit of value to the mind. I do that for sure. I won't work. I'll book my schedule to be free until sunset. Because I'm firm on that. But yeah, I do believe in following many of the principles that I knew growing up, for sure.
Right, dope. So, she's the author of a book called I Am and I Will that dropped this year, July 2021. And that's amazing. Tell us about that.
Okay, so I Am and I Will, the A to Z of positive affirmations and call to actions dropped on July the 19th. I'm so happy to have it here. It was a long process, but an enjoyable one at the same. It was launched during the pandemic because I realized that a lot of my friends and family alike were going through a bit of a slump, being at home, not really having much motivation, not having interaction with people. So I thought, what can I do to help everyone? Because everyone was calling me like, how are you so positive during this time? Why is it that I can't get your energy? And I'm like, I can't give it to everyone at once. So I felt very expended, and I decided to create a book that people can have day to day, use as a very good tool in their home to give themselves their own charge. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to rely on a friend or a family member to give you that positive affirmations. You can do that yourself daily. But the thing that I notice also is that when people manifest or affirm, they don't activate the manifestation. Like, a lot of people say, hey, I want to be a millionaire. I'm going to be a millionaire. So then I challenge them, like, how are you going to become a millionaire? What is your call to action? What is it that clicks in your mind that says, I'm going to be a millionaire because I will work this amount of hours a day to ensure that I make this amount of money, right? That's the call to action. Yeah. So this book here is literally A to Z of positive affirmations. So you can read it from A to Z, or you can flick through the pages and just stumble on a page one day and say, do you know what? I feel like that today. Like right now, as I'm talking to you, I've stopped at a page that says, I am idealistic and I will work towards achieving unimaginable things. So yeah, that's
dope. Big up to the Black authors. Yes.
Thank you.
Love that.
So Sherrise, just one question for you, because you're so positive and I love your energy. Where do you get that from? Is that from your parents? Was that always something that you had? Like, how is it that everybody around you was just in a slum, but you were so positive? Like, what was your drive? What is your drive?
Thank you. That's a really good question. I would say a lot of what I do is spirit-led. Some people say it's God-given. Some people say it's like a blessing. Like, I will share a little bit of a story. When I was born, I wasn't actually breathing. So I was a stillborn. And my grandma actually prayed that if I was ever given life and if God would bring me back into this world, that I would be of good service to people. And so knowing that from the moment you're born, like having someone speak such positive words into you, there was no way that I could waste my life. And I've had a lot of second chances as well in my existence here on the earth, where God has like pulled me back from a situation that could have been so detrimental. And he's like, listen, I'm giving you a second chance. Like, don't mess it up. And I always see that as a way to share a testimony. You know, I'm not perfect, but I realize that every single day that I wake up, most of the time it's between 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, God's woken me up for a reason. So instead of complaining, oh my gosh, I'm waking up so early, everyone's still sleeping, I'm like, what's the blessing in this? Like, why has God woken me up right now? So I think a lot of what I do is spirit-led, and I just believe in being positive. Like, it's a good way to live your life without being stressed and keeping your frequency really high.
Good to go.
That's beautiful. Nice. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, thank you. No worries.
So, Sherrise, are we a failure if we're single?
Yeah, Great. That's a good question, isn't it?
Yes.
Sherrise, how do you feel about that?
I've written an essay about it, so I'm really strong on the concept. I don't believe anyone can just arrive at an answer where that's concerned. You can say yes or no, of course, but I feel like it definitely needs further elaboration, which I'm happy to give as the show goes on.
Yeah. So you've written an essay on the subject, are you a failure because you're single?
Yes, I have.
What give us a synopsis of the thesis.
Okay, so the concept of this essay was that a lot of women, they're looked down upon if they say that they're single, if they're not in a relationship at a certain age, or if they aren't subservient. A lot of people are like, oh, so why are you not single? What's wrong with you? Or you hear, you're not ugly, so why don't you have a man? And so I'm like, wait, does my whole existence rely on being chosen by a man? Like, what if I'm happy being single? What if I don't want to be in a relationship? Am I supposed to think less of myself? Am I then devalued because I'm not in a relationship? Am I failing, basically, because I'm single?
Baba?
Yeah. I mean, I think it definitely depends on the parameters that you set for yourself. If you go by a societal view of, I think women get pressured a lot more than men, because they have a quote unquote biological clock ticking. I think that for women it's a little bit harder and more social pressures, but I don't think that we should be judged by, exterior things and family members that are trying to push their traditions on you. I think it's whatever feels appropriate for you.
Michelle?
So I agree with both speakers earlier. I think you can't just say yes or no. It depends on how you see yourself. It depends on what you have achieved or lack of. And I think society does make it seem as if you're hitting the late 30s, 40s, your life is over. You haven't done anything. Even if you went to university, even if you're in a job that is paying you crazy money, none of that matters because you're single. Why? Why is it no man has chosen you to become his partner? So I definitely do not agree with, you're a failure because you're single. What about you, Andre?
Nice. So I think the presumption of failure implies that there's a benchmark, right? And we have to identify whose benchmark we're going to be using, whether it's your benchmark or it's societal benchmark, right? So the question on its own merit, I would assume that we're going to use the person who we're talking to, which is Sherrise. What you've been on Earth for some time now, right? What was your benchmark that you set for yourself growing up for when you were, in your early 30s? I don't want to be presumptuous and ask you your age, so I'm just going to say you're in your early 30s. You might not be, you might be. I'm just going to put early 30s as where we are currently. What was the standard you had for yourself at this point?
Thank you. So growing up, my mom had me at a younger age. So I always knew that, or always in my mind thought that I'd be a young mom because I loved how our relationship evolved. Like, we grew up together, but she was always my mom. I never took that for granted. We're best friends, but there was always that respect level. So in my mind, I almost thought, I'd have a child young. I know this sounds a bit ignorant. From before, it was like whether I was with someone or not, it didn't matter because I'd seen my mom raise me as a strong single woman for many years of my life. So I was like, it doesn't matter. But then as I got older, I've been dating, and you look out there and you see what options are out there for you. And none of them were to my liking, at the time. So I was enjoying being single, learning who I am, being introspective, creating routines for myself. And I enjoyed being single. So I advocated for women specifically and some of my male friends to learn themselves before being in a relationship. And how can you learn yourself if you've never been by yourself? If you don't know what it is like to be alone and independent of people and or a significant other. So I was championing for people being single, not to leave your relationship to be single, because if you're in a situation that makes sense, then you stay there, right? But I've noticed that a lot of people were in relationships that they weren't happy with and stayed in them. So I just thought, wow, like I'm enjoying singleness, but every time I go out in society, someone's slandering me for being single. So does that mean that I'm failing? Like, I don't think I'm failing, I'm loving it. But society was very uncomfortable with me being so happy single. So it made me question the concept.
Okay, so my next question then for you is, how heavy of importance do you place on what society thinks of you?
I don't put a big emphasis on what society puts on me or what they think, because I live outside of the lines. Like I color outside of the lines. I know I walk the road less traveled, and I'm fine with that. But when you are stuck with having to hear someone like, oh, you're in your 30s now, what's next for you? And I'm like, oh, you know what, I'm thinking about writing my next book, and it would be a career opportunity that I want to explore. And they're like, no, but what about a relationship? So I'm like, why are people so hard pressed to understand that not everybody wants a relationship? Maybe at this point in my life, I don't want to be with anyone. Maybe I don't ever want to have children. You know what I mean? Like that for me would be fine. And again, as I mentioned earlier, like I'm very God-led, spirit-led. So if God doesn't want me to be a mom or a wife, then so be it. But I will still add value to the world in some way, you know?
Okay. Right. So I try to make my decisions more introspective, right? So I, just like you, maybe a little less color outside of the lines, but 100% of what I think I want to do, what I think of myself, and what I think I will be doing comes from inside. So what I want is always, no matter what anyone else, and Ali and I have spoken about this a bunch, always do what you want to do. And if you're doing what you want to do and you're having fun and you're being successful at what you want to do, then you cannot be considered a failure, because you can only fail if you're not reaching your benchmark. And that's why I started with benchmark. You can only fail if you're not reaching your benchmark. And if your benchmark is you want to write a book and you wrote the book, you don't want to be in a relationship and you're not in a relationship, then it seems to me like you're checking all the boxes and you're winning. So by those matrix, a person who's doing these things cannot be a failure in my eyes. Now, society, they run their mouth and they say all sorts of jazz. They say all sorts of crap that means nothing. And as a matter of fact, a lot of the challenges that they levy on people's lives, they will not be around to help you get or attain these standards or levels that they're saying that you should be trying to attain. All they do is talk and then sit and watch you fail trying to achieve this thing that you probably didn't have any intention of doing in the first place. And because this isn't something that's a burning desire for you, it's hard for you to put 100% into it. And so it's hard for you to achieve this said goal or desire that society placed on you. So to answer the question, are you a failure because you're single? If you want to be single, no, you're succeeding. If you don't want to be a single person and you are, then yeah, you're failing. And let's have a conversation about why it is you're single, because you obviously want something differently than you have. And we can talk about what it is that you really want, and what you're doing to stop you from getting that thing that you want.
Right.
That's how I look at a lot of these esoteric conversations. But I'd love to hear about your essay.
Thank you.
Can I add something really quickly?
Yeah.
Hold on, let me add something. Yeah, when we talk about societal pull too and peer pressuring, a lot of the times we don't even think about it as our own family members, aunts, uncles, even our parents, because a lot of what we're made up of is the lessons that we got from our parents and who they created. You know what I mean? Rochelle, what were some of the things you heard from outside of you, your family, growing up, your parents, aunts, uncles, about being single or like getting in a relationship in a certain time and having kids?
Well, I grew up in a Jamaican household. So from the very minute you are born as a girl, everything that you're taught to do is to cater for this man that you're going to have. Oh, remember, a man doesn't want a woman who cannot clean. Oh, a man doesn't want a woman who can't wash. A man doesn't want a woman who doesn't know how to do this or that. So everything that you were being groomed to do was not because you love to do it. It wasn't because you could have a career in doing it. No, it was to make sure that which man you were lucky enough to get, you were going to be able to please your partner. At no point in time we were ever taught like, oh, your partner should be pleasing you too. Oh, your partner should make you happy. That was never said. Maybe it was implied, but I have never heard that. It was always, oh, come, you have to learn to wash because a man needs a woman that's going to wash. You have to learn to clean the house to make it impeccable because a man wants a woman who is able to do all of that. And I think in that way, we are grooming women, we're grooming girls to have partners. So a lot of times, even if you have gone to school, even if you have gotten the best job, innately, because you were conditioned from early, you still feel, but I'm cleaning, but who am I cleaning for? I'm washing, but who am I washing for? Even if you're doing it for yourself and you're happy, because you were already brainwashed into the system, you think yourself a failure, even though you're not. And I think that is where the problem lies, because society, again, has created this whole scenario where a woman is the only reason you're here, the only reason you exist, the only reason you were born was to please a man, and not necessarily to live your truth and be your truth, but to please this imaginary person that is going to come one day and sweep you off your feet.
I'd agree. I definitely agree on that statement. Like you've hit a few points. So like, even if you don't necessarily believe that you're failing, when you have to hear people constantly say that to you or bring it up to you, like you don't, like a lot of women, for instance, cannot conceive, right? So when someone comes up to you and is like, so when are you gonna have a baby? You're like, wait a minute, I don't even have a husband or a man. Like where's a child coming from, right? You don't know someone's trauma. You don't know someone's issues, right? Like, you don't even know what their interests are. I had someone come to me recently at a family gathering, not a family member, saying to me like, hey, you're of age now. Why don't you have a child? And why don't you get a man quick? Because your eggs are so going to dry up so much that they have to be flung against a wall to activate.
Where you at?
Wow. Older or younger?
What was your response? No, hold on. What
older or younger?
was your response?
So first of all, the person is older than me by about, I'd say 10 years, right?
Yeah.
My response to it, I literally was in shock because I'm usually fiery and quick with my words, but I'm also very intentional too. And I don't like to be reactive. So I prefer to fester in the thoughts first before I even make a response. But it didn't sit right with me. So I kept on living that moment back in my mind. And I'm thinking, if I respond now, am I overreacting? That was the first question I had, which I knew I wouldn't be, but I just wanted to make sure I said it in a right way. So my response after I calmed down was like, that's not for me right now. If God wants me to have a child at 40 and it's possible, then that's what will happen. If I don't have a child, then I'm good. Like, I'm good either way. And the person was like, no,
Right.
man, you have to hurry up and find a man. I don't even care where you find him from at this point, but your eggs are going to get stale. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's women in history that have had babies, like in their 40s, 45, 50, like that's pushing it, but they have. I've seen articles, and that was natural birth, like, you know what I mean? Natural conception and natural birth. And that works for them. Would I want to be that age having a child? That wouldn't be my preference. But it's that whole thing where if I tell someone I'm happy not being in a relationship, it's, oh, you're lonely, oh, you're single, oh, something must be wrong with you. And I don't know, Rochelle,
Right.
if you can understand, if you can feel that same way, or someone said something like that to you before. I don't know.
Well, to be honest, I do have 2 daughters, so nobody has had the audacity to do that.
Okay.
But I have girlfriends who people in the church, they're single, they have no kids, and just like that person, not even a relative, not even a close friend, you don't know the stress they're going through with just everyday life. And then they're just coming out of the blue. Oh, why you don't have any kids? Why you get married? Why you're not in a relationship? And honestly, that added pressure, that added stress, it really it just drives me so crazy. Because how
Right.
dare you? How dare you go to somebody and even try to you know what? I'm gonna not answer that question. Let me just calm down and then I'll come back.
I feel you.
Now let me ask you guys something. Yeah, we talk about how you're not a failure if you set the benchmark to saying, you know, I'm not planning this yet, or it hasn't come yet, and I'm okay with that. Let's talk about, does anybody feel an emptiness inside of them when they're single, or a loneliness that is like a hole inside of your heart?
I really like that you asked that, because towards the end of the essay, I reveal that I'm not failing, obviously, because I'm single, but I feel like I'm failing myself at times, not being with a significant other, not because of the need for them, but because I feel really whole when I'm sharing my love in a bigger way. Right. And so I can't be as vulnerable as I would like to be when I'm single, because I have to be tough for myself. I can't explore my femininity as much as I would like to in a relationship, because I don't have someone else that I can lean on to be like, hey, can you help me with this? You know what I mean? Like 100% of the work is on me when I'm single, because I'm not relying on anyone. So I did say in that regard, I do feel like I would like that duality. It's not a necessity, but I love to be feminine. I like to be helped. I like to be adorned. I love to be loved, in fact. So that is a concept that you can't really get intimately, you know, if you're not in a relationship, because I'd prefer that to be from my significant other, you know. But that's the only time that I ever consider that, like that. I don't feel lonely when I'm not in a relationship. But you know, when you have had a relationship that was successful or worked at that point, and you remember the feelings of, you know, cuddling, or like just being able to speak to someone and have vulnerable moments with someone that understands the nuances of who you are, for sure there's a void. Yeah. For sure.
I agree 100%. But then I'm thinking about all the people who are married and all the people who are in relationships that are so miserable. And then I'm just like, but is it worth it though? You know what I'm saying? I know, like, there is this book called they're all married, but they're all like single. Because let's say a woman got married to a man, but he's never around, or he doesn't come to any of the events, or he doesn't do what he needs to do. Then you're literally single, right? Because what was the role of the relationship in the first place? Was for that person to fit certain criteria, right? And if that person isn't doing that, aren't you basically single? Because you're still not able to share yourself 100%. You're still not able for that person to cheer you on. So I would say when I was single, because I'm not, when I was single, at points there were times when I did miss all of that, right? Just like Sherrise said. But then I would look at people in church who I know definitely slept in separate bedrooms. And I was like, you know what, but I don't want that. I knew couples, power couples in society who literally lived 2 separate lives, did not see each other, but the cloak of marriage was adorned onto this relationship. So if you want somebody to be there, I'm sure a lot of times there are, you know, intimate moments when you do want to share with that person. But again, is it worth all of that stress that comes with a relationship as well?
No.
So you say you could be in a relationship and failing as well.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, honestly, look around. Like, I don't like to judge people's relationships, but you can sometimes see off of energy alone. There's something going on. Like, that's not right. You know what I mean? Or that's like I say to my mom all the time. Like, certain relationships make me not want to have a relationship in general, and certain like family constructs are good birth control for me. Like, I wouldn't want to bring a child into this world with that situation. Right. You know what I mean? Or like feeling that way, or you see this family dynamics where there's a power struggle continuously. You know what I mean? Like, I prefer to be single and wait for a good situation, not wait to be chosen. There's a difference, right? Wait for the correct situation to present itself. There's millions of people billions of people in this earth, right? Or on this earth to choose from. Maybe it's not in New York. Maybe that person's not even in London for me. Maybe that person is somewhere in a country that I don't even know how to speak their language. You know what I mean? But the connectivity is there. The energies align. The spirits make sense. You know, who knows? Like, we don't. I've always said that impatience is the enemy of faith. So if I'm impatient, I don't wait, then I'm not allowing God to select my reality. I'm forcing a situation to happen prematurely, which is why I can say that I'm happy being single, because I'm waiting for the right situation to present itself.
Yeah. Yes. And some people only live to be in relationships, and they're serial daters too, you know? And for those people, if they were single, they'd be failing, I guess. But some people are here to, like, you know, forge their name in history forever. They're on a bigger purpose.
I agree. And a lot of people who are the serial daters, the mere fact you said that, it made me laugh. It's like they never know what being single is, right? And then that's when you become very lonely. You can easily jump into depression because your identity was based on you being in a relationship. Right? Sherrise said something at the start. She said that when you know who you are, so you now have like different, you know, you have standards for who you're looking for and for what you want from a relationship. It's not going to be easy to find all of that in the next person that walks across the street. It could be that person, but more than likely, it's going to be something that you have to wait for, right? It's something that you're going to have to spend time to get to know somebody. It's not something that, oh, I break up today, let me just go find somebody tomorrow to fill this empty hole in my heart, right? Because that's when you're in a relationship and you are failing because you're never getting what you really want. You're never finding somebody who's going to value you because you just pick up anything that crosses you across the street. And for me, that is the biggest failure that I really don't want for myself or for anybody else.
I'd add to that too, because obviously if you're in a relationship and you are only going by the value that someone gives you, then when you're not in that relationship, how do you value yourself if you're only relying on someone else's validation?
That's a good point. I do believe that it is important for people to be single. I remember there was a point in time when I was single, and I remember laying on my bed, looking at the ceiling, talking to myself, and coming up with what I find acceptable for myself. And it was around that same time when I started to decide how much I'm going to care about what other people thought about me. And so, you know, I think it's imperative to be single so you can sit by yourself, with yourself, and learn yourself. Because like Sherrise said, how are you going to be able to tell what do you want from a person if you don't even know yourself, right? How can you be the best you if you don't know you? Right? And like she said, if you're depending on another person to, I forget, I don't want to misquote you because I did that twice just now. But you said something like, if you're depending on someone to show you love, something, can you just say that again? Because that was profound to me.
Yeah, sorry, I was speaking about validation, I believe. So like if you are allowing someone else to validate you, then how do you find your own value? I believe that's what I was getting at.
Right. So it's similar, right? In finding a relationship, right? Because a lot of people out there, they're looking for someone to make them happy. Right? Just like that person, if in terms of validation, they're looking for someone to validate them. If you're looking for someone to make you happy, statistics are saying that you will never be happy because you have to come to the relationship knowing how to be happy or a happy person. And then that other person and you come together and create a lot of joy as opposed to you depending on a person to make you happy.
Yeah, and that's a huge responsibility to put on somebody else.
Exactly. So I did that work, sitting around talking, thinking to myself what I want out of life, what's important to me. And, you know, a lot of people don't do this work, right? And so they go through life always paying attention to what other people think, right? Their value is based on what other people think. So I go buy this sneaker because when I wear this sneaker, people are gonna think that I'm this or I'm that, I'm cool or I have money or I'm this or I'm that, right? I wear these clothes because, you know, when I wear them, people like almost all of what they do, and that's kind of why social media has, you know, been such a success. It's because you get the opportunity to see what people think about you almost instantaneously, and you get to give people, whether it's a lie or not, you get to give people something to give you accolades about, right? And, you know, it's this false sense of pride that, you know, created this fragile society of people that would then come to you, Sherrise, and say, hey, you're X age, why haven't you had a baby yet, right? But those are the same folks that when you have the baby and the dad isn't around and life is just so stressful for you, they're not going to come to your aid. They're going to sit and say yes, and they're going to find some other down. What's his name? What's that short comedian name? He's popular now.
Kevin Hart?
Kevin Hart. He talks about this a bunch. He said society will build you up so they can watch how you fall when they tear you back down. And I made this decision a long time ago. Andre is going to be the one who's going to tell Andre what he wants and what he doesn't want. And if society doesn't like it, tough. I remember when I was younger and I just got married, people used to ask me the same questions. When you guys going to have babies? And I started asking them, how much are you going to chip in? And as soon as you...
Fred, let me ask you this.
Sure.
Assuming that the idea that, say, society is your family and your parents, do their opinions not weigh heavy on your life anymore, Ada?
Nope.
Huh.
There is a video quote that you can find online, and the quote pretty much says, "You never make other people a priority in your life when you are an option for them." Right? And and towards the end of the quote, it says, "While this monologue is about other people, your family are people as well, so the same rules apply." So, yeah, your family is not a friend. Yeah, your family is not a stranger. Yeah, they're family, right? You have to interact with them. They're your family, or you interact with them a lot because they're your family. But they're people as well, and you cannot allow everyone else to determine what is valuable in your life, because every single person is going to have a different opinion on what's valuable, right?
Yeah.
And so you will never know, like you'll always be searching, you always be yearning for value or for relevance because you're using other people's barometer to judge yourself as opposed to coming up with your own.
Yeah. I think attention is a form of currency, if any of you guys understand what I mean. Now, let me ask you this question. Sherrise, as you said earlier, you become a different person when you're in a relationship. You're allowed to be more feminine, and more feminine qualities are allowed to be exuded. This question is for you and Rochelle. Do you love the single version of you more, or do you love the relationship version of you more?
Okay, so I won't say I'm a different person. I am able to express my full range of being, right? So you have different, you have yourself, you're a whole, but you give portions of yourself depending on the scenario, right? So for me, I do believe that, how do I explain this? Could you just pose that question one more time for me and then I'll answer it properly? Maybe go on to Rochelle and then I'll come back.
Thinking back about your life, do you love the version of you more that is like looking back at the decisions you made, the person that you were? Do you love the single version of yourself more, or the person that's in a relationship more? Decision making, day to day, stuff like that.
Thank you. No, I definitely prefer the single version of me, primarily because I'm a freer person. I feel like I'm more happier. I can express myself to myself and to other people. I have a very fluid personality. So I want to be able to go out in town and be able to talk to whoever I want to without there being this connotation of jealousy or feeling like I'm overstepping my respect boundaries for my significant other, which is a hot topic too, right? Like if a woman's free and loves herself and knows herself, can she be who she wants to be in a relationship, or is that control factor a part of her now day to day, right? I speak to a lot of people, it doesn't matter who, and I spread love like very viciously. Like, I know that sounds negative, but it's not. Like, I spread love. That is what I do. I am like a savant of love. And so I don't mind speaking to a stranger for 20 minutes in between my grocery run. You know what I mean? I don't mind inconveniencing people to help someone that I don't know that's a stranger. And for a lot of people, that's uncomfortable interactions. It's inconvenient. It's a waste of time to some people. But those are the things that fill me up, adding value to the lives of others. And I've realized that in the past, that has been a sticking point for a lot of the people that I have been in a relationship with, that they don't want to share time with me, with other people, whether that be my family, whether that be my friends or strangers for that matter. So I have an issue with the controlling aspects that some relationships have.
Has a wife.
So I agree. I definitely agree with you. I think when I'm single, I am more free. I am who I am all the time. I'm just going to say that. And just like Sherrise, I am a very free spirit person, very outgoing, very outspoken. And I think the people that I normally date or the people that I'm always in a relationship with, they kind of know that, right? So them trying to control me is it's only going to bring out more free spirit out of me, because I'm going to do everything I'm going to do because you knew this is who I was when you met me. I'm not going to change because you decided today, okay, no, we're not doing that, right? So I'm definitely who I am all the time, but when I am single, but I do a lot more introspection. Now, this is when I start to, like, how can I be the best me? How can I do this? I start looking at like a whole lot of different things when I'm in a relationship, because you're trying to not say please this person, but you're so taken in with this new relationship that you really don't have enough time to build yourself as you would when you're single. So I'm going to say I like who I am both, but I prefer my single my single time, because then I can work on who Rochelle is, who Rochelle needs to be. Where can Rochelle excel? What's the new adventure? Where can I go? And I think that is what I can do when I am single versus in a relationship, because my time is normally with my kids or with my partner and just trying to build us and seeing how we are going to build together. So I hope I answered the question.
Yes. I would say for me, I love who I am when I'm single, because just naturally from a respect standpoint, when you're in a relationship, before you do certain things, you have to ask for permission from your partner. And just that right there is very, I'm not saying there's not great things that come from having that partner, but also from that standpoint, it's kind of like, it'll make me, you know what I mean? I don't know if any of you guys feel like that, like you have to ask your permission before you do certain things when you're in a relationship. But that's how I felt in the past. So yeah, I love myself when I'm single. But go on.
I understand what you mean in regards to asking for permission. Have I had to do that? No, but I do believe that maybe more to the point is you're being respectful and considerate of your significant other. I believe that is a thing, and I know you as a person, so I feel like that would be your thing, like being respectful, like knowing that you're doing things that would be best for the pair of you. So I get that where you're going with that. But I will say, like for instance, something as simple as changing a belief system, right? And I believe that a lot of people that are in relationships almost feel like, I met you this way, so you have to stay that way. They don't believe in that evolution or progression of people. And we change daily. Like some things that we like, we don't like tomorrow, or we like something and then we changed our mind on it, right? So I'll give an example.
Yeah.
When I was 19, I changed my diet. I no longer wanted to eat meat. I wanted a vegan diet. Plant-based now is what we call it, right? And that was many years ago from now. And I was in a relationship at the time, and I was reading a book which made me change my perspective on the food industry. So I shared it with my boyfriend at the time, and he was like, that's going to change our whole dynamic. You can't be vegetarian. And I said, well, really unfortunate for you. I can't change my decision now that I know this. Like, I can't be ignorant to
Baby,
this fact.
we got to go to Buffalo Wild Wings, baby. That's what we do every Tuesday.
Right.
Half off.
Right. We bust down these chicken wings. At the time, it was Johnny Rockets, and they had the spicy wings. But I was right. You remember those? But I was like, no, I have to do this for me. This is a me decision. This isn't an us decision. I'll still make meat, which I do to this day for anyone that chooses that they want to eat that in the kitchen, but I won't consume it myself. And I said, how does a personal decision impact you? Like, my eating meat has nothing to do with you. I'll still go to the same restaurants. So that's what I'm getting at. Like that relationship, those certain restrictions that happen with relationships where it becomes, we're doing it together rather than we both can coexist and experience things as we like. There's very rarely a balance between you being your individual person and us coming together as a unit. The lines can become very blurred.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think, if I may, I hear people talk this way a lot. Ali, asking permission, or one party in the relationship telling the other party that they cannot. I find that absurd.
It doesn't matter what you think.
In my opinion, and this is the way I live my life. I want the best you. And the only way I can get the best you is if you be you. Now, obviously, if you are a social butterfly, you cannot be with a guy who is a protective suffers from, some self-esteem issues, right? Because he's going to have a problem with you talking to every guy that wants some of your time. Or if he feels intimidated by whatever it is you're doing, whether it's talking to guys or it's growing your business or whatever it is, that guy is going to feel intimidated by you, and then he's going to try to stifle you. I want the best you that you can be. And if the best you is you being a social butterfly, then you need, my advice is for a person that's like, is to find a person who is appreciative of that part of you, or you in total, right? Ali, you mentioned asking for permission. And Sherrise mentioned about that you're a respectful person. I think that we confuse things in relationships, or we have a misunderstanding of things in a relationship, and because of that misunderstanding causes us to look at things with some level of contempt that need not be there. If you and a person is in a relationship and you are doing X, Y, or Z, because the person cares about you or you care about that person, you want them to know, hey, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. Not ask them, hey, can I do? You're an adult. That other person, your significant other, is an adult, right? And as adults, they can make decisions for themselves. Obviously, if you guys are in a relationship, the decisions that they make shouldn't be harmful to the relationship and to each other, right? And so, in a relationship with a person, that's almost the baseline of the relationship. I care for you, you care for me, so I'm going to always make sure that whatever I do is to our benefit, right? So Sherrise doesn't eat meat anymore. She just pointed out, if I don't eat meat and my significant other eats meat, I don't mind cooking meat for him. I'm just not going to eat it. And I don't understand why relationships is so difficult, because these concepts are so simple. My mom, I grew up, I remember when my dad came home from America, and my mom made him fish and she made chicken for us. And the chicken was so good. I was like, Dad, you got to try this. And I'm giving him some of the chicken. And that's when I found out he didn't eat meat. Well, the only meat he ate was fish. Right? And growing up, 2 meals was always cooked in my house. My mom made fish for Dad, and she made whatever else for myself. Coincidentally, my wife only eats fish. My wife is the person that does the cooking in my house. When she's making food for myself and the kids, if she wants to make chicken, I never tell her what to cook. So if she wants to make chicken, she's making chicken, and then she's going to make whatever she wants to eat for herself. In relationships, and I think this is the misunderstanding people have. In relationships, it's two adults coming together to coexist. You, as the man, don't have the right to tell the woman what to do, and the woman don't have the right to tell the man what to do. You both work together for the benefit of each other. And that's why some people would have issues with being in relationships, because of the misunderstanding of some of the nuances that happen in a relationship.
I get where you're going with that.
Okay.
I get where you're going with that, Andre. Yeah. But I feel like not everyone is packaged the way that they once were. Like when they met you, they packaged themselves a certain way to obviously meet your expectations, because some women or men are like very honest with what they want from the get, right? So then they package themselves to be that person. And as time goes by and as the lack of consistency start to occur, you realize that that person isn't really who they said they were, but now you are, attracted to them for whatever reason, or maybe you have gotten far further in the relationship than you would have expected, or you're just in a relationship, you've committed, right? So where I understand where you're going with that, like for me, which is why I enjoy being single, because I can sort through that. And if something doesn't serve me well, I can say this doesn't work. I agree with you in regards to no one should own anyone, you know what I mean? Coexisting for the betterment. But what you're speaking about is an empowering situation. You sound like you empower your wife, and she sounds like she empowers you. That's an amazing situation to be a part of, or relationship. But a lot of times, women and men alike are not empowered in relationships. They do feel like they're property, and they do feel like they're being controlled either way, and that is very exhausting And so I can understand why Ali would come from that place of he felt like he had to ask for permission, because there are also some women in the world.
It can get controlling in no time.
Right.
But yeah.
Right. And there's some women that are like, they learn from another woman or someone else in their life where like, you can train a man. I hear this all the time. And I'm like, train a man what? I'm not doing that. Like if he's not for me, he's not for me. I'm not coaching a man. I'm not training a man. Like that to me is very archaic. And it's like this concept. And I think it's very manipulative and deceptive. I'm not into that. And that for me that's where like the lines blur for me, because if I'm of God, right, that deception and manipulation is dark. That's not straightforward. I would prefer to come to a man and say, this is what I like, this is what I dislike. You know, I'm not here to play games. This isn't chess. I will tell you what I like. If you can, you can. If you can't, you can't. That's fine. And I'll move on. But I would say in my own experience, generally when I tell a man what I like and what I don't like, they will work themselves to do all the things on my list that I like, right? And pretend that that's who they are because they see the value in me. And so I end up being
narcissistic.
You know, like they're like Casanovas. So they will work the system. And I'm not saying women don't do this too. I'm not a woman that does that. So I'm not speaking just from a female perspective, but I do see this happening where people pattern themselves up or tailor themselves to be who you need them to be. And then it's wolf in sheep clothing.
Brand new! That's great. That's
big
great. Here's an idea. And we all know this, but sometimes we overlook it. Everything has a season. People are seasons in your life. So yes, this person came and yes, they gave you their representative, right? They sent forward their representative. And the representative was to be a chameleon for whatever it is you said you wanted. The good thing about you being unapologetically you is that you are not going to, which goes back to what I said about the best you. You are not going to change you. So if you see a erosion of respect for whatever it is you want or like, you then make a decision to say, this is not what we agreed to. I told you up front. And so this guy or gal, whatever it is, now has two things they can do. They can either love you for you and respect you for you, or they can leave. Either one of those things you're fine with because you are being you. You understand where I'm coming from? So I don't mind folks being chameleons. Yeah, we enjoyed the 6 months, 3 months, 1 month, whatever. How long ever you were able to pretend. It was fun.
Yeah, on your behalf, though, right? Because I'll give an example. I understand where you're going with that, but for me, that is a waste of my time. Like, for me, time is currency that I can never get back. I value time more than I do money. So if I come out the gate knowing exactly what I want in life, and then a man comes and he's a chameleon for 6 months, that's 6 months of my life that I've dedicated and committed to somebody that wasn't committed to me or was committed to the concept but couldn't deliver. That is a waste of time for me. I'm holding that against you for wasting my time. I wouldn't be happy with that situation.
But you just said
and maybe in that time you could have actually found somebody who was going to accept you for who you are, but you spend all this time with this chameleon presenting themselves as if they were the real person. So
exactly.
that has happened to me and that's why I stopped telling people, oh, this is what I want, this is what I expect, This is what I like, because people are never that. But they will put this beautiful cloak on and you're like, oh, wow, this is amazing. And then one day you wake up and it's like a brand new person. Like, what?
I agree.
What? So Sherrise, you just said you don't have a problem spending 20 minutes with a perfect stranger.
Yeah.
Giving them what you said, aggressive love?
Yeah, I said vicious, but yes, I do get what you're saying.
Love.
Yes.
Yeah. So you do spend your time that with people that doesn't provide fruit that you can see, right? Because once that stranger is gone, you might never see them again. So
right.
What's the difference between?
Sorry.
What's the difference between you giving these strangers, multiple of them, your time, or this person who, for all intents and purposes, if you guys are in a relationship for a month or 6 months, as you said, there has been some good times. There has been some laughs, some fun that happened. So to me, it's a zero-sum game at that point. Because whether you're going to give your time to a perfect stranger who's going to take your time and leave, or you're spending your time with a person and then you find out, he's good, but he isn't the one. Let me move on. I mean, to me, it's research.
Yeah, but that's a different scenario completely, because my time is mine own to give to that stranger. Right? I've decided to give them that time. I wasn't committing myself to that time. I was enjoying that moment with them as I spoke, and the energy aligned differently than me being with someone that has told me that they want to be with me and they want to be exclusively with me in an intimate way. That is completely different. So my time value has gone up at that point, because now I've taken all of my other options off of the table, if there were any, as Rochelle said, and I'm now giving it to you. But you already can see, because you remember you said that sometimes it's good to be a chameleon. Yeah, it's great for the person that's receiving the vibe. Like, I already know who I am. I already know what I'm checking for. As Rochelle also said, though, it's kind of dangerous territory when now you tell somebody what you want and what you expect, because there are a lot of people that suit themselves up to be that person, and then you find out that they're not. So a lot of times I look at people's actions and how they deliver their actions more than their words. So I get where you're going with that, like, just enjoy the moment, live free in it. But when my body's involved in the scenario, and or my mind and my time, because when you are with someone in a committed situation, you are investing much more of your time than you are with a stranger. I don't expect anything from that interaction, but it does add value to my life, because I may have made someone feel happy in that moment. They may have given me some business advice. That could go into so much different things for me outside of a relationship, because I'm not intending to be your friend after that moment. If that happens, then so be it. But if I meet someone that is interested in me and dedicates 6 months of their time to me, there is that concept that you feel as though that could develop into something so much better for you.
Ali, maybe
I agree. Can I just add something to what Sherrise said? I think, because Andre, the difference, and just to add on to what he said, right? One is that you chose to spend your time with that person, right? It could be a stranger on the street. It could be anybody, but that was your choice to make. When they come as a chameleon, your choice has been taken from you, because they have come as a wolf in sheep's clothing. So you have no idea what is going on. And now your choice has been taken. It's almost as if you're being raped of your time, because I decided I was going to give you a chance.
Stop. Let's not use that R word, please.
Okay. So it's as if that time was taken from you without your consent, right? Because you're giving your time based on a false narrative of who this person is. And I don't think that is fair to anybody, male or female.
No question. And I want to ask you, Ali, I don't know, maybe it's a guy thing. I don't know. So let me ask you, let me poke at Rochelle for a second. So if this guy, right, or girl, whatever your persuasion, if this significant other is a chameleon for 12 years, right? You're telling me at year number 13, the 12 years was a waste?
Who's this question for?
Rochelle.
Yes. Because every happy moment that we have, it was never sincere. It was never from a place of happiness. No.
But you were happy.
Was I though? Because you were laughing.
Yes, you were. You just said every happy moment. So you were happy.
Hold on. But if this was done out of what's the word? This was not done with it was done from a place of deception. So therefore I just wasted my whole time because
but you were happy in the process. So all of that was for nothing?
Now when I'm looking back, that same memory is not going to be one of happiness. It's going to be, but oh my gosh. So all this time you want to tell me I was over here laughing at a fool? It's going to be 12 years of a fool and not 12 years of happiness like what I thought. And I think that's the biggest hurt.
Like if you put it into cheating, for instance, maybe I could see that. Like where
if you put it into what?
I'll be cheating, for instance, where a man is like, yes, I'm only going to love you. And year 13, you find out this guy slept with all your best friends.
Cheating. Yeah.
You sleep with your auntie, your mother. All those times you laughed, you're going to look back and be like, damn, he played me for Boo Boo the Fool.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's me then. Because I feel like a happy moment is a happy moment. Yeah, unfortunately, you didn't, like the relationship didn't work. He was cheating on you. But you did experience real happiness.
Okay, but compounded.
Yeah, he was faking.
Compounded with deception, you can't. You see it in like separates, right? Because happiness is one thing, but being deceptive or deceived and fake happy, that's two different things. Like if you're gonna deceive me and you gave me happy memories, I don't even know if I can appreciate the happy memories because I'm so stuck on the deception. But I can't even thank you at that point. Like, thanks for the happiness, but guess what? You've been deceiving me this whole time. Great. Like that is not a good feeling. That is not from a place of love. Deception isn't from a place of love. Manipulation isn't from a place of love. So if I came to you wholeheartedly, lovingly, right, with an open mind and a pure heart, and you've come to me with deception, I'm gonna have to say bye because then I can't trust you. If you're a deceptive person, you can't be in my circle. I wouldn't have a friend that's deceptive. I don't stick around with family members that are deceptive either. So I definitely wouldn't want an intimate partner. And when I'm talking intimacy, you might not even be sexually active together, right? But it could just be like your minds connect and you're having great times with each other. But if you're a deceptive person, I wouldn't naturally gravitate towards you because I don't give you that.
Sherrise, yes. Everybody is deceptive.
And that's why I'm single. I can't contest with that. You see what you're saying? I'm trying not to
Hold on. I'm getting to a point. Everything and everyone is deceptive.
No.
So let's say I start. Hold on. Let's say I started a religion, right? And I told you, hey, if you come to my religion, the whole world is going to be against you and they're going to try to kill you. Would you come and join my religion?
No, I would not.
You're a Christian. That's the Christian's religion.
No, you see me as a Christian. I told you when we started this conversation that I'm a Sabbath keeper and I'm God-fearing, right? So what I'm saying to you is I would not do that. Like if you giving me that...
Wait, no. Ali had asked you if you're Adventist and you said you weren't Adventist. You're a Sabbath keeper. I just said Christian.
Okay, fine, fair enough. So
you're not a Christian?
You've got me there, but we're not talking about my religious beliefs. What I'm saying to you is, you've asked me a question, and you said if you said that my way of living was coming to your church, and I wouldn't go to death, would I follow you? So I said no, I wouldn't. That was me talking to you, as in Andre. You got what I'm saying, as a scenario, and I understand where you're coming from. Where like everyone has the propensity to be anything. People have a propensity to be nice. They have a propensity to be mean, right? But we don't have to live by that construct. If I'm not a mean person, I don't expect mean people around me. If I think that someone's deceptive and I have discerned that they are not good for me, then I will have to move away from that person, no matter what my affiliation is with you. Because I believe that right is right and wrong is wrong. Is there redemption? Probably, but does that mean that we're going to be in a relationship again? after I find out that information? Possibly not. That's where I stand with it, personally.
Dre, I think a better word than deceptive, as my shorty once put it, she said, everybody finesses everybody. And finessing is not necessarily a negative word. But everybody does something for somebody in order for something to be done back to them in return, whether it's an internal thing or an external thing. But as long as, like a woman may give a man sex, but in return she wants his time or his money, and that man is going to get sex, but in return he's given his time, he's given his attention, he's given his money. So I think that would be a better word for it, finessing.
But even if we're applying to these strict definitions, right? Yeah. Even if we swap out deception and use finesse, they still would not like the fact that you finesse them, right? Because it didn't last forever. It only lasted that short time when you were finessing. How is it though that, Sherrise, you said people are always changing? So why is it that when we met, I was okay with X, Y, or Z, and then I changed, and now I'm really not willing to, capitulate to X. I can do Y and Z, but I can't capitulate to X. Why was that whole time wasted?
I really appreciate your devil's advocacy in this communication. I really do, because at the end of the day, we were talking about deception. We're not talking about change, right? We're talking about somebody actively showing you a part of their self that wasn't true, right? That is a difference between changing. Me evolving as a person and realizing what best serves me is different than someone going out of their way to pretend that there's something that they're not. That is a totally different thing. So yes, it would be a change to me because I'm not used to seeing you this way. But if that is who you are as a person, and now you're coming out the gate, or maybe I met your family and they're telling me that you're a totally different person and that's not how you are, then I have been exposed to who you truly are. That is what it is for me. It's the deception. People change every day, but it's being honest about that change and communicating it, because sometimes people have a way of changing but not expressing that they chose to change or that they would like to see a change in a situation. So you have a different expectation than they do, and you're not mutually understanding what the friction is. There's the lack of communication in regards to that.
Ali,
yes,
do you have a female you've dated for any extended period of time, and you are no longer with that female, and it ended badly?
Yes.
Did you have any happy moments with that female?
Yes.
Are all those happy moments now tainted in your mind?
No, they're not tainted, but they're overpowered. They're overpowered by negative things that happen after. I think that I think that like we're flawed in a way as human beings, because somebody could do 99 great things for you and you'd appreciate it, and then they do one terrible thing and it just overshadows all of the good that they did.
Yep.
For some people,
So I was just trying to ascertain whether it's the way I look at things is different, or if it may be a male-female thing. Because I don't think
it's still a good point to me. Yeah.
I don't think any guy found out that a female was being, let's use the deceptive word, right? She was being deceptive. She sent her representative, and then her representative didn't last. I don't think any guy now looks at that day when they went out on the date and she was dressed to the nines. I mean, he felt amazing that him and this beautiful lady was going out on a date. I don't think the fact that now he found out she was deceptive, that the feeling he felt going out on the date or at dinner, whatever it was, I don't feel like all of a sudden that's null and void. But if maybe that's the way women view, men and women view relationships differently. So maybe
here's a funny thing. Here's a funny story. A guy took a girl out on a date, and she posted in her stories a picture of her food. And I think she didn't know that he was following her. And he took her out on a date, and she posted third date this week, showing off, that her food is free and stuff. Yo, that dude left her on the date.
Alive!
That dude left her on the date. So there's a moment where, you know what I mean? He felt like, yo, this is a joyous situation, and then looked back immediately. And
but they weren't in a relationship. They weren't in a relationship. If she's on her third date this week, they're not in a relationship.
Okay. You were speaking to just relationships. Okay.
Yeah. But again, look, I don't want to belabor this. I'm not trying to change anyone's opinion. It was just interesting how, we were all looking at this particular thing. Sherrise, please tell us again the name of your book and where we can get it.
Okay, thank you. So the book is called I Am and I Will, the A to Z of Positive Affirmations and Call to Actions. It's available on my website, which is SherriseMarshalleck.com. It's also available at Barnes & Noble's, Target, Amazon, Walmart, all of your major giants where you purchase books. There are a few mom and pop bookstores that sell it online also. So feel free to check it out.
Can you say your website again, please? You said it really fast. And can you also say the benefit to purchasing it from your website?
Definitely. So the website is SherriseMarshalleck.com. That's SherriseMarshalleck. And the benefits from purchasing it on my website is that you get a signed copy. It can be customized. If you send a little note to me, I'll be able to sign it to exactly who you would like it to. It's an amazing gift as we're coming into the holiday season, if you are into gifting during that season. But yeah, the benefits of getting the book in general is that it's like a life companion. So I call it the dictionary of affirmations, just like everyone reaches to their dictionary to find new words or to get definitions of words that they use frequently. This book does the same for you. So it's a traveling companion.
Good, great. Guys, everyone listening, please, please, please go out and support this sister Sherrise and purchasing her book. I'm also happy that you are single and you are happy about being single.
Thank you.
And Rochelle, I don't know your relationship status. You didn't post it on the Gwan website.
Yo,
but whatever your status is, I hope that you're happy in your current situation.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you, Sherrise.
And to Sherrise as well. Yes.
Yo,
very nice to meet you, Sherrise. And
Thank you.
All the best on your book. And I know you're going to write the second book. And we can't wait for you to write that and come back on the program very, very soon.
Thank you. That's already written. I'm currently seeking an agent. So the second book will be out and we intend to have it with a big publishing house. So thank you so much for that support.
Yes. Awesome.
Great. Well, again, guys, here's another episode. Hopefully this conversation was able to help you understand a little bit about relationships and how another way of looking at relationships, how they function, to help you in your journey along life.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Gwan.
Yes, sir. Sherrise, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Because I know this is very valuable.
Yes, it is. It should be valuable to everyone. It should be valuable to everyone. But thank you so much for having me.
And I was not being deceptive. So hopefully this
We don't know though. We don't know that.
We don't know that.
This entire time was pleasant for you and you can appreciate it for eternity.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, guys, I gotta jump.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, guys.